Hello, friends. Welcome to the Case for Life program. Is it possible to reverse a very bad abortion decision in a state that is voted by referendum to write abortion into its state constitution? We're going to take that up on this episode of the Case for Life. We're glad you've joined us. And today I have one of the best, if not the best, guy in pro-life work that I know. Mark Harrington, a friend of mine for the past 20-some years. Brother, good to have you with us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Scott.
You have done just amazing work. Before we dive in, can you give our viewers just a little background on Created Equal and your role with it?
Yeah, so Created Equal, we're a training and outreach organization focused on raising up the next generation of leaders to take on the culture of death on college and high school campuses primarily and win. That means that our arguments need to resonate and be able to persuade. So that's what we devote most of our time to. On occasion, if necessary, we get involved in the political battles, and that's why we got involved in Issue 1 and have been staying involved in these constitutional battles across the country.
Yeah, you sure have. And I know you're doing great work with students because a lot of the students I train find their way to your
Right.
organization. It's kind of like
That
I train them and you pluck them off one by one. And I love it. I think it's
appreciate
great
that.
because
Yeah,
you
we
do
appreciate it.
phenomenal work equipping these students and getting them ready for service. Give our viewers a background on what happened in Ohio in 2023 so they know what your solution is going to look like.
Yeah, without going way back, we understand that Roe v. Wade was overturned, and then about a year later, the pro boards put a ballot measure on the ballot here in Ohio in November of 2023. Unfortunately, we lost 57-43. They prevailed, and now that is abortion is enshrined in our Constitution in the state of Ohio. So, and since then, as you know, Scott, we're like 3 of 14. Uh, I tell people I'm an Ohio State Buckeye fan. If our coach went 3 of 14, they'd fire him. So we're
Right.
not doing so well.
Yeah. And by the way, I hope you don't do well in the upcoming NC2A tournament. I'd like
Well,
to
we're
see you
playing.
guys get knocked out early and preferably by my Bruins, but we won't play you till the final if it happens. Hey, listen, a lot of people are confused why we're losing these ballot initiatives. I've heard pro
Mm,
lifers say to me, well, we need a more slick marketing campaign. We
mm-mm.
need, celebrity spokespeople. We need better messaging that resonates with the public at large. I
Yeah.
think you and I have a different view of this. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think all those things are important in the midst of a campaign, let's say. But the
Yeah,
reason why we're losing is because we've been losing the culture for decades,
bingo.
and that's the issue. And now it finally went to the ballot, and we found out where people stood, and we were all shocked by that. I mean, we were trying to overturn Roe v. Wade for decades for good reason, and putting all of our money, resources, time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears in the political basket, but we were losing the culture all along. And we're finding out how badly, and we're trying to do catch up, which isn't a good thing. But the way we look at it is we gotta go back and do the work that we hadn't done in the past. And I say we, meaning the pro life movement, and that is change one heart at a time and reach those persuadables, those people that are
Yep.
actually movable on the issue.
Yeah, I think that's the key right there. How many times prior to the reversal of Roe and Casey did we hear pro-lifers say things like, well, if we could just get one more justice on the Supreme Court, if we could just get the press to stop being so hostile, we could win this thing because the American people are with us. Mark, they're not with us. They're not even
Mm-mm.
close to being with us,
No.
even in deep red states like Ohio, Kentucky, Montana, Missouri. I mean, we've lost all those places, and never mind the battleground states that are more, kind of purple or lightly blue states. We're losing even in states that should line up with us on this issue. So our work is cut out for us. That leads me to
Mhm.
what I want to talk to you about today. You have a project you've launched there in Ohio that I got a preview of at the Bringing America Back to Life conference this last weekend, and you showed a short video clip there. And I'd like to show that clip here. Do you want to say anything to set that up before we roll it?
Yeah, it basically, I'm an Ohioan, therefore, this is my home turf, and I want to defend it. So we want to do what we can to try to replace the abortion amendment, but realizing if we went to the ballot like right now, we'd lose. We'd
Right.
lose 57-43 or maybe worse. So we've got to move the cultural needle. That is changing public opinion on abortion and get us to a place that's even feasible. And that's what we're trying to do with the Make Abortion History project. It's targeted advertising to persuadable voters using primarily CTV or streaming TV, and then door knocking using deep canvassing where we actually persuade that person on their doorstep possibly to consider our position and be, be pro-life and hopefully vote for a pro-life amendment. So it's a combination of TV ads plus deep canvassing, and we launched it in 2025, and all the results are in the video. I'll just let it speak for itself.
The abortion industry is a giant, killing over 2,500 babies every single day in the United States alone. You'll find that many pro-abortion voters are loud and proud activists who champion and practically worship abortion. However, among these voters, you'll also find those who quietly support it. If this group could be convinced that abortion is wrong, so they drop their support, the abortion industry wouldn't be able to survive. But can these individuals be swayed on the issue? We decided to go find out, and we saw real change take place. We chose 2 cities in central Ohio that reflected the state as a whole, and then pulled these cities to get a baseline understanding of where they stood on abortion. Then we launched our first phase and introduced the pivotal question, is abortion actually healthcare? We asked this question using mobile billboards and ads on both streaming services and social media, as well as literature that we delivered to their front doors. In phase 2, our team knocked on over 9,000 doors to engage in conversation. This is where we drove the point home. Abortion isn't healthcare, it's murder. Phase 3 cemented this change in our audience's convictions, asking them to sign a petition and display a sign in their yard. Finally, it was time to assess the results. In just 5 months, support for abortion dropped over 7%, while more than 8,000 people moved to a fully pro-life position. This is a powerful movement, but it won't grow on its own. We need financial supporters, volunteers, and people willing to bring this project to their community. We need your help to make abortion history. Learn more about this project at makeabortionhistory.org.
Okay, I'm struck by that, Mark, because you're doing worldview work before you do the political work, and you're
Right.
actually engaging people at the idea level. Those are real numbers. I mean, when you can say, look, we saw a 7% shift, we saw 8,000 voters flip to becoming
Yeah.
100% pro life, those are real numbers. Now, one of the things that's bothered me about these ballot initiatives is the way that pro lifers have tried to frame their messaging. And what they want to do is talk about everything but abortion. They want to talk about, oh, this, if we pass this ballot initiative, it's going to mean you're going to lose parental rights. You're not going to be able to
Right.
stop your kid from transitioning to a different gender or whatever. And I think that's been a colossal mistake. And what you're proving here is, hey, we can go talk to people directly about abortion and we can see hearts and minds changed.
Exactly. So the campaign, Make Abortion History, is run outside of a typical political campaign that generally runs, from September to November in an election year. And therefore, you're kind of flying unopposed, which is a good thing. And also for those nonprofit organizations, they can use C3 money. That is because they're an educational organization. They don't have to get tied up in the political, vote no on issue 1 or vote yes on amendment 3 or whatever it is. So it allows us to do the groundwork that leads up to a campaign. And during a campaign, I mean, it is a little bit different. You're trying to basically rent voters, if you will, just to get it over the finish line. But
Right.
you got to be in a place where you can actually move them over the finish line. And right now, we're not even close. So we got to move that needle to get us in a place where we can actually win these amendments.
Well, I love the way you have a sense of timing and place for this thing. You recognize you can't just rush in like a bull in the china shop and lead with legislation the culture is not ready to accept. And I see that
Right.
in pro life circles. Even now, we've got people pushing things like equal protection acts that, hey,
Hmm.
we're going to lead with a bill, they say, that allows women to be prosecuted for murder. Is that going to work in a culture that already thinks we hate women and want them to die? I mean, it's just nuts. You're taking a more prudential approach, which, by the way, lines up historically with the history of social reform. You look at guys like William Wilberforce and Abraham Lincoln. They both were very prudent in how they put forward their legislation. Wilberforce, between 1800 and 1803, pulled back his bill on abolition because he recognized that with the French Revolution going on and the battles going on with France, his people looked like they were French sympathizers. And so, to avoid that problem, he pulled his bill back and waited for a more opportune moment. Lincoln did the same thing with the Emancipation Proclamation, holding it back until he, at least on paper, won a battle at Antietam. And so that didn't come out until late 1862. There's a sense of timing here. And I wonder if you could
Mhm.
speak to this objection, because I can hear it coming from some pro lifers and perhaps some of our viewers. Well, it's always the right time to do the right thing. Can you comment on why that is short sighted and not the way we should look at this?
Well, I think you would agree with me. We all believe in equal protection for the unborn. I mean, we do. I
Right,
mean, that's the North Star of the pro-life movement. We wanna treat the unborn like the born. That's the principle that
right,
we believe in. We all believe in. But prudentially, we have to think about, well, what's feasible right now based on the political, cards that we've been dealt. And now that Dobbs has been handed down, I mean, the states can move and restrict and possibly even ban abortion. So it's actually come to the fore a little bit more than it used to when Roe v. Wade was in place. But, I mean, we're an organization that believes that, you gotta get what you can, and I was thinking about this the other day, and, Jesus was prudent. He spoke about, if there was a man who wanted to build a tower and he didn't look at the resources that he had to complete it and see if he actually could get it done, he would be made fun of. I mean,
right.
Jesus was clear about this, is that we have to be prudent. We have to use our minds as well to think about what we're trying to accomplish and see if we have the means to actually pull it off. Well, that's the same in the political realm, right? I mean, we can't be wasting our time, effort, and money, which is very scarce, on efforts that are going to fail. And so I think we need to talk about equal protection. I believe that that's our position. And on campus, we bring that up when students ask us, what do you think about women? What do you think? Should they go to jail? All that. We have the conversation, which is right to have. But in the political realm, our culture is so far away from even discussing something like that. We can't even ban late term abortion in some places, let alone end abortion at conception or, ban abortion at conception and, prosecute those who might commit it, such as women who are pregnant. So for me, it's a prudent issue. It's a pragmat. I know pragmatism kind of takes on a bad connotation. It's not. I mean, we're all pragmatic. That's how we live our lives. And
Yep.
so it should be no different in the political realm. We got to take what we can moving towards the ultimate goal of ending all abortion.
Yes. Pragmatism can be bad, but it can also be
That's
prudent
right.
and good. I mean, think of
Yeah.
this. I'll just give you a couple examples. Say we have three governors. We'll call one Bill, one John, and one Bob, I guess. Bill has the votes to ban spousal abuse. He has the votes. The House, the Senate, the state is with him. But he won't do it because he says, you know what? We got to be pragmatic here. Boys will be boys. And, guys are going to get a little bent out of shape if their wives burn supper, withhold sex, or don't discipline the kids right. So we got to be realists here. We can't just ban spousal abuse. Okay, I'd call that evil pragmatism. Now we got another
Mhm.
guy we'll call Bill. I think I said it. Well, I don't even know the names. The second governor who says, look, I live in a state where spousal abuse has been legal for decades. The majority of the populace supports it. I don't have the votes to get rid of it, but I do have the votes to limit the evil done. And so what he does is he passes legislation that bans state workers from being abused by their spouses. He then passes a bill that says, look, no woman over 50 can be struck with a blunt instrument. And then finally, he comes along and says, you know what else? I can get something passed that will say young girls under the age of 16 cannot be forced into marriages with abusive older men. And somebody could come along and say, well, that's evil because you didn't protect all women. Look at all the women you left there. I mean, what are you saying? That we can beat those women because you didn't protect him? No. The
Mhm.
point is that governor was never in a position to be able to save all women from spousal abuse. So he saved the ones he could. And then you think about the third governor, and he comes along, he's in a state where he can get some protections passed for women in spousal
Mhm.
abuse situations. But he refuses to sign the bills because he insists that if he doesn't get full equal protection for all women, he's not going to sign on to this. And you have to ask yourself, which governor of the three did the right thing? Well, the middle guy
Mhm.
who did what he could
Mhm.
to limit the evil. He was a political realist. And I like how you brought in Jesus here. It's true. The Christian worldview is grounded in realism. We don't
Mhm.
just wish
Right.
for things. We don't have a magic wand. We can't just make
No.
abortion go away. We're going to have to do the hard cultural work of chipping away at it and changing the way people think and feel about it. There's no getting
Agreed.
around that. And you at
100%.
Created Equal are doing wonderful work that way. Tell us about how many phases there are to this Making Abortion History project.
Yeah, so the pilot project was last year, that's 2025. We've launched phase 2 of the campaign, and then, by the end of it, sometime in August, we'll have the results for phase 2. But phase 2 involves some additional research on messaging because 'cause we're always honing the message. We know what works generally, but we wanna hone it to the degree that when we reach that persuadable voter, it's gonna resonate with them, and it's gonna move the needle. So we figured we had to do more of that. Focus group, data, also some what we call qualitative research, and some more polling before we launch phase 2 ads, which we're in the phase right now of starting to look at some ads that we're gonna be running this time, this year in the campaign, and there'll probably be 4 or 5 of them over the next 5 months, and then in August, we'll be able to do post-polling, I should back up. We're gonna do five cities, okay? So, basically the Cleveland area, Toledo, Dayton, Columbus, and Cincinnati, and there'll be 2 communities in each of those cities equaling at 60,000 voters approximately. And then by the end of it, we'll have the polling for that part of the campaign. And then I think we'll have what we need to say, hey, we know what we can do, what needs to be done to move the needle sufficiently enough to put this on a ballot. That doesn't or on the ballot. That doesn't mean we're gonna go on the ballot. It just means we have what we need. We think we have the project, the campaign. We've proven the concept to go to the ballot. Now it's just a question of when, and of course, that's when money gets involved, and a
Yeah.
whole lot of it, by the way, because we're gonna need it if we're gonna win this.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want to discuss two things with you. Where do people go if they want to get involved with this project in terms of supporting it, which I hope our viewers will do? And secondly, I want to ask, what has been the role of recruiting students to be engaged in this? How has that fired them up to do something because they can
Mhm.
link it to something specific? So we'll take those two questions up after the break. Everybody, we'll see you afterward. Hello, friends. You may not have time to read a full-length treatment of abortion like I've done in this book, The Case for Life, the second edition, but you may have time to take what amounts to 7 sessions, a week's worth of study if you want to do it day by day, to learn how to defend your pro-life views persuasively. We have a basic course that will help you do just that. You will learn how to make a formal case for the pro-life position. You will learn how to defend it with science and philosophy. Even with non-Christians, you can make a case for the pro-life view. Then we'll teach you how to handle objections, how to recognize the 5 bad ways people argue about abortion, and how they often bring up things that are beside the point. You'll learn to keep the main thing, so that you're in charge instead of feeling like you're in the hot seat whenever the issue of abortion comes up. Visit the website for details. Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you with us with my special guest, Mark Harrington of Created Equal. I want to remind everybody a related ministry to what we're talking about today is Summit Ministries, where I am a faculty member and train students in pro life apologetics, many of whom go on to work with people like Mark, or they go to work in government and they make a difference for culture there. If you have a son, daughter, or grandson or granddaughter that needs to be firm in their Christian faith, Summit is your ticket to do that because they equip students to defend what they believe persuasively in the marketplace of ideas. And I highly recommend you consider that. You can see on our screen information about how you can connect with Summit. All right, we're back with my buddy Mark Harrington. And before the break, Mark, I mentioned that students are being used in your project. And here's what I'm curious about. I often hear from gatekeepers that students are not able to handle discussions on abortion. But you not only have them handling the discussion, they're actually investing themselves to make a difference. Could you speak to the way that a project like this helps ground a student in their faith as a Christian?
Well, young people are looking for an issue. They're looking for a fight. They're looking for a battle to which they can really sink their teeth into. And we found if we don't provide that, they're going to go somewhere else. And so we're losing our youth to other things, other issues per se. But we gotta give them something that they can really feel like they can make a difference in, and if they're trained properly in pro-life apologetics, which is what we do, and of course you do as well, and then given an opportunity to actually go out and test their knowledge in front of people that disagree with them, they really feel like they're making a difference, and they can see hearts change right before their eyes, and
Yep.
so that's what inspires people, and so with this campaign, although we're not on a college campus, we're actually targeting persuadable voters so that they will be served an ad, okay, or many ads actually over a period of time, and then they're gonna get a knock on the door from one of our young people and have a conversation on the doorstep about abortion. It's not like
Amazing.
political it's not like politics where you're just throwing a slate card on the
Yeah.
doorstep. You're actually having a conversation, try to move them. And so over the summer, last summer, we recruited, I don't know, 15 or 20 of these folks to spend their summer doing this. And this year, we're hoping to have more to do the same thing. And we're going to be doing it in 5 cities across the state of Ohio. And we're seeing measurable change on abortion, on their position, and on the politics of it, the policy. So, a measurable change. And we think we can improve on those numbers because of the messaging work we're doing, along with the qualitative research and some of the other things we're looking to do. So we can spend less money, persuade those voters that matter the most, and move the needle so that we can put ourselves in a position to actually reverse this abomination of the abortion amendment in Ohio. And this can work anywhere in the country.
Yep. Now, before we go any further, I want people to know how they can get behind this project. Go ahead and direct them what they need to do if they want to get involved.
Yeah, so the website for the Make Abortion History is createdequal.org/make abortion history, or even better, just go makeabortionhistory.org. That'll tell you everything you need to know about the project. It will give you the impact report, which is the full report, along with an executive summary. The video that we just saw on the program is also there. They can then just sign up. I go to our contact form, just say, "Hey, I want to be a part of this." Join us for the summer. We wanna be with we wanna train you on how to do this. It's an 8-week program. Our internship this summer, it starts in June, and right now we got about 23 people, signed up. We're looking to sign up more. I tell you, if you're a young person, this will change your life forever. It will. This is one of those aha moment, one of those God moments where you really feel like you're in the battle for sure, and we train you, we take you out, and
Yep.
you'll be forever changed.
This is invaluable experience. I just got to tell you, I don't know anybody in the country that does a better program than you at this. There are groups that approximate what you do, but I think you're the guy that is actually taking these students, training them, and then putting them in the real world to
Mhm.
experience the act of engaging culture within a safety net where they're
Yeah.
protected, can be debriefed, and kind of get a handle on what's going on in the larger culture. I applaud you for your mentoring program and all you've done. How many students have come through your intern program?
Oh, I don't know, several hundreds. The justice ride is actually our entry point, and that's where we load up 2 busloads of young people in charter buses and take them down to the southern part of the country for a full week of campus activism, and we're training them in the bus, we're training them in the classroom, and then we're taking them out on college campuses for a full week. It's kind of, being baptized by fire, but, it's a way to get them involved in the work right away. If they come on the justice ride, then they might intern for the summer. If they intern for the summer, then they might decide, "Hey, I wanna do this full time, or at least for a year." Then
Yep.
they'll do a gap year program with us. And also, we're sending them back into their communities to serve there as well. And if they work for other organizations, that's all good too, because we don't care where they end up as long as they're doing this full time. I mean, that's the goal.
Yeah, we've got to have more full-time people in this fight. As our colleague Greg Cunningham has pointed out, there's more people working full-time to kill babies than there are working full-time to save them. And that's because
Absolutely.
saving babies is very costly while killing them is very profitable. And I
That's
think
right.
that sums it up, what we're up against here. And when we have a situation where so few of our churches, so few of our Christian leaders have a clear avenue of thought on where to go with the abortion issue, it's vital that we have programs that can equip our students to make a difference in culture. And you are doing that as best, you're doing that as well as anyone I know, Mark. And I applaud you for this. What has been the response from other pro life groups to this Make Abortion History project?
It's almost unanimously positive. We've been in front of national leaders. All the national organizations you could think of have we've presented to them. I was just in Washington D.C. earlier this month, and we're getting in front of a lot of folks. We've got a long list of endorsements from national organizations. They're all intrigued by it. You know why? Because it moves the needle and it gives hope to people.
Yep.
I think a lot of us are demoralized after the overturning of Roe and Dobbs being put in place, and now that we're 3 of 14 on constitutional amendments, we're all like, "What do we do now?" It's like,
I
"Well, this is
know.
what you do now. This is what you do now. Don't do the same thing and expect a different result." I mean, that's
That's
basically what
right.
we're.
That's exactly right. And I get it that we might feel disheartened. I'm a little disheartened this morning. Over in the UK, the House of Lords yesterday affirmed taking away all restrictions on abortion. There is literally now in the UK nothing to stop abortion at any point in pregnancy. And many of the pro lifers you and I have worked with over there who do phenomenal work are understandably a bit distraught this morning. But I think you're right on here. Let's not shrink back in despair. Let's invest in something that can actually make a difference. And this whole idea of, hey, we're going to make abortion obsolete here, we're going to make it history, is where I think we need to focus our efforts here in the States and elsewhere. So thank you for doing this good work, and thank you for the good work you're doing at Created Equal. And as you and I like to joke, it's not a small thing. It's a good thing, and one that I'm very grateful that we could have a part in having you explain here to our viewers on the Case for Life program. All right, brother, I hope I see you this summer some point. It was good to see you last weekend in Cleveland. We had a good time there at bringing, what was the name of that conference? Bringing America Back to Life. I should know the name of the conferences I speak at. But anyway, I appreciate you, brother. You're doing phenomenal work. God bless you. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Look forward to seeing you on our next show.